Gosh, gosh, gosh. Oh, it's dirty. Hello. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, somebody's been driving my car. This is a turtleneck I haven't worn in a while. Oh, just wait. Gotta write down my to-dos. Oh my goodness. I've told you guys that I'm trying to get up and start the rhythm of getting up. And I have something on my glasses here. What is that? These are like my favorite glasses, but they're getting so old that they are getting scratched up. And, well, what can you do? We all get old. And, I'm going to put some of this cancer stuff on. My hands are so dry. It's so dry here, and then my hair gets all frizzy and sticky, sticks to everything. And because everything is like, I try to wear as much cotton and wool as I can, but it's not an easy task, I'll tell you. Everything is plastic. And I know it's loud a little bit because I gotta warm the car up just a little bit. Woo. Oh, so I went to Europe and I went to Poland, and this was, don't mind my homeless nail polish manicure. I look like I literally don't have a home. I haven't done my nails in over 2 weeks, and this is what no nail attention looks like. So don't mind that. Don't let that distract you from our chat today. But this beautiful piece of art, like, look at this ring. This is, what is it in English? Amber. In English, it's amber. And I've just discovered that this ring is actually quite dangerous. I hooked it up a couple of times on this, although it's very beautiful. And you can use it for such occasions as talking in the car with your friends. I just want to write down in my agenda, you see? When you plot and plan, I've got to just write down, I've got to remember to go and get I need to get a purifier. Air purifier. Now, it's weird because today I've been meaning to leave early. Like, I wanted to leave to go into town a little bit earlier than normal because I wanted to get to the bank. Oh my gosh, now I'm trying to file all my books because I've got my banking stuff. So that's why I've got my heavy duty bag. Oh, I already did that. And let's turn this sucker down because it is hot. I hate when I have to put heating on the top part. Oh, look at you guys. You guys are dirty. Really dirty. See? Okay. Yeah. What was I gonna say? It's gone. Anyway, so I was trying to get out, and because I have to pay the legal mafia today. And of course, you know what the legal mafia is. It's the government. And you do not mess with them. And I realized that I missed a payment for one of my payments that I have to make, and I was wondering why I was getting all these late charges. And then I started doing calculations, and I realized I had done all the paperwork, but I hadn't gone to the bank. And part of the reason why is I used to have the bank 2 minutes away from me, and now I have the bank 40 minutes away from me. So needless to say, I'm still getting used to sort of having to make it like a trip to go out, because it really is a trip to go out and do anything. So here I go again. And if this is your first time stumbling on my meanderings, I'm Rose. Hi. I'm here just having mind muddles, going through my opinions, what comes up, life. It's like Seinfeld, a little less funny. Oh, I gotta screw you guys in. Ooh, you guys are screwed. And I keep forgetting that it takes a real effort to go into town. And to go into town, as I said, it's 40 minutes to my nearest real town. Like, I might not a micro town, but like a real town, like a village of 10,000. And so I missed one payment because I was making the next payment, because every month you have to pay. You can't miss a month. And I realized, crap, that's why I've been getting charged, because I didn't pay last month's. And December was just a squirrely month, you know, it was Christmas, and so I forgot. So now I'm going to pay the legal mafia for last month and this month and all the weeks in advance that I'm getting charged a penalty. So now I've got like 8 pieces of paper. I mean, I know we're all green and our prime minister is charging us because we're the bad people that are making climate change happen, but he sends me 45 sheets of paper. Literally in each reminder there's 3 or 4 pieces of paper, front and back, printed on. So not only is the ink being printed, the papers are being printed, the envelope is being printed, and so on and so forth. So, you know, I mean, it's all clear as mud as to why we're being blamed for all of this, and we have nothing to do with it in terms of, like, you know, with emails and stuff like that. You would think that they would send us an email or at least one piece of paper with all the information on it. It doesn't need to have 45. But I think, you know, government workers, no offense, sorry, it's just a joke, but really it's kind of funny. Like anything you get the government to do, they're so inefficient that they need 3 people to do like one person's job that's in the private sector. Because in the private sector, they're squeezing like one person to do 4-person job, but in the government, they're expanding it the opposite way. They're like, oh, well, you know what? We can probably make this one job into 4. My daughter was once dating a really funny and smart guy. And you know who you are if someone should ever stumble on this. And he used to laugh and he used to say, hey, Mrs. My last name, blank. Do you need me to do any jobs? Because I can do any 2-hour job in 4, or any 4-hour job in 6. Like he used to be hilarious, and we used to really love him because he was really, really smart. But anyways, that's government jobs. Like any job that requires 8 hours really will take 16 at minimum. And that 16 is not like a really good job because they've taken longer. It's just perhaps getting, you know, past the finish line. Anyway, I meandered onto something that I wasn't even meaning to talk about. I don't even know what I was going to talk about, except I was talking to my mommy last night, and, you know, we were just talking about how people are so fake, and how people are afraid to be themselves. Actually, I think we're at a point where people don't even know who they are, and I think that in large part is I think that's one of the crises that we're entering. We as human beings really have lost our way in so many ways, but also fundamentally in the way that we don't even know who we are ourselves individually. In fact, we're starting to be such a collective that we're getting lost in the groupthink. I think I talked about that in another video about how we conform. We the sheeple conform. And I got off the phone with my mummy, and I had a good laugh with her. We were just kind of laughing at the basic and general fact that we all put a front up if we're not confident enough to just kind of go, oh, this is me. I ran a business with my husband, and we had a very, I would say, fairly successful business that we willfully walked away from when things changed. But I mean, willfully is a strong word. We decided to walk away from it instead of starting over. But that's for another time. And we laugh because a lot of the people that are in our lives are following narratives that aren't theirs. They don't even, I don't think, realize that they're not their own narratives. And so that leads me into the fact that we are, from a fairly young age, we are led to believe that other people are smarter than us, that other people are richer than us, and when we say they're richer than us, they also define what rich means, because as in my other video that I meandered about what I thought success was, I was led to believe success was something that it's not. And in the very same way, we are led through art to believe certain things. Like yesterday, I was watching the Candace Owens. I don't think she had an interview because I never watched the whole thing. I don't. Again, like Tucker Carlson and Russell Brand, I'm not sure about her. I'm not sure what her angle is. I know that she got kicked off of more of a mainstream Piper show, the Daily Wire, I think it's called. She left, or she got kicked off. I can't remember. That Ben Shapiro, that guy is such a piece of work. He's just nasty. He's a nasty, nasty man. And you don't have to know him to know that. And it's very pretty today, but I've got to keep my eyes peeled because it's starting to get snowy, and I've got to make sure that I'm being careful. Like if it's a nice day and nobody's out and stuff like that, it's okay to mess around and look at you guys more, but I got to be a little bit more focused today, just in case some conditions turn. Anyway, so she got, like I said, canceled, but it seems to be like this new trend of mainstream people, actors, the authorized voices, all of a sudden are coming into the sphere of where us, the sheeple, the herd, hang out. And for me, anyway, that seems very suspect, because if we've lost trust in our mainstream media per se, and it's clear because the numbers are there. CNN, Fox, and all. I mean, maybe Fox has more numbers now since Trump, but they were a dying breed. They were essentially something that was like a dinosaur. It was going extinct, and it was going extinct faster than most people, I think. Because YouTube and X and Instagram and Twitter and Instagram, I already said Instagram, didn't I? And Facebook even though Facebook was dying also a slow death, these platforms are now starting to be the main place people share information. And the thing about sharing information is that there could be a lot of information that's misinformation. I will hand that to anyone that wants to argue that fact. However, I will also argue that there's a lot more truth to be found amongst many voices, in terms of if there's many people that are reporting the same on the same story, you're going to get a different perspective, and you're going to have many perspectives to choose from. Sorry, my nose is leaking. I have a leaky nose. Then the narrative that's CNN, that no one has the ability to influence. None of us sheeple has the ability to sorry, I just realized that the back window is not, see that? Okay. The back window is frozen and I need to wipe it, and I'm afraid to touch the wiper because last time I touched the wiper, the whole thing wouldn't move, and then yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to burn the motor, and then my husband is going to get annoyed because then he's the one ultimately that would have to fix it. So I tried to be careful. Last time it was pretty bad. I don't think it came through as much on video, but I mean it was really bad. The front and the back got frozen. Anyway, I digress. So now that the eyeballs are on the social media and people are actually following people like The Last American Vagabond, like Alan Watt cutting through the Matrix, like he mysteriously died. Again, I mentioned that before, that there's just lots of coincidences, lots of people speaking about things that are unpopular, and they're getting popular, and all of a sudden, poof, they're gone. I don't know if I believe that it's purely just natural. But anyway, that's another, again, like note to self. That's your 558th story that you want to discuss. So now that these social medias are so prolific and so popular, it's funny how all of a sudden, people from the more mainstream media are now, deflecting. Is it deflecting? Is it the word deflecting? Defecting? Anyways, one of those words, defecting, or getting fired, or standing up for the same rights we have. Meanwhile, these people are multi-millionaires. They live in gated communities more than likely, and many of them do. It's just a known fact. And now they're all of a sudden becoming part of the sheeple gang. And what else is also interesting, actually, now that I'm on this little thread, is that Tucker Carlson and his guests more than often are able to say things that small, little, seemingly insignificant people like me, like I will get strikes, and Tucker Carlson will say double what I can say, and he doesn't get strikes, or he doesn't get demonetized. And I will argue that Russell Brand got demonetized, but sadly, there is something with Russell Brand that most people probably don't know, but years ago, there was like a skit where he was one of the main events at an opening. Either it was an opening at like a Super Bowl or some kind of event. I don't think it was like the Olympics or something, but it was something. And he came in on a bus. He was sitting on top of the bus. In the bus were people trying to what looks like they were trapped in the bus and they were trying to get out of the bus. And he was riding like the bus was like a horse and buggy sort of a thing. And then all of a sudden, I believe it's 4 women dressed up as police officers, sexy police officers, looked like they were either arresting him or something along. So it was like a prediction of what actually happened. And then he got accused, and then that died down. And I don't know, because I don't really listen to Russell Brand. Sometimes his quick speech and his, I think he's funny, because I do think he's quick-witted, he's smart. I think he might be smart, or maybe it's just an act, because he is an actor. And you always have to remember that. These people are actors. They're trained actors. They got paid millions of dollars to trick people to believe they were character A, character B, character C. You cried, you laughed, you got angry. They took you on a rainbow of emotions, and none of them were real. They were all just the same person. So, needless to say, if what's his name again? Russell Brand. If Russell Brand or Tucker Carlson say something that is kind of not within the YouTube guidelines or other guidelines, they're allowed to, for some reason, say them. But like I said, small, seemingly insignificant people that are on the social media platform get completely wiped out. Sometimes their channel gets deleted, their accounts get deleted, and they seemingly said nothing more than what Russell Brand would have said or what Tucker Carlson. So there is that side of me that sits there and says, the guy I listen to has like 400,000 subscribers, and he literally has to watch every word, and he has to, either puts it up on the screen or he says, figure it out, what he was alluding to. So I just don't trust a lot of these people. So back to Candace. Thank goodness I found my way back. I don't know what to think of her, because she has covered some topics that I think that YouTube would have, like, I remember one time I had started another channel and I got a strike for reading an article. I read an article that was written by a mainstream media outlet, and I read the article and I got a warning. Anyway, I only did a couple of those things because life got in the way, and it's more of a satirical thing. It was more of a act as opposed to just sitting and chatting with you guys. And right now I have nowhere to do that because, well, I certainly don't have a place in my place because my place is so tiny. Anyways, I got lost again. So I was watching Candace. That took me like 10 minutes to tell you that I was watching Candace. And she was talking about the Diddy. And I thought to myself, wow, we are so taught from a young age to follow the stars, to follow the culture creators. And the culture creators, do not kid yourself, are the movie stars. It's Walt Disney, it's CNN, it's Fox, it's Warner Brothers. And it's all of those Hollywood, or I don't know what the Canadian version of Hollywood is. What is that? I don't know what that actually. And I have, like, my best friend's husband worked for them, but I don't actually know what they're called. But anyways, Hollywood, or Bollywood. Bollywood is the Indian version. whatever the entertainment branch of our societies are, these people, we are taught from a young age to look up to them, to revere them, to think of them as something more than us, more successful than us, smarter somehow. If you think about it, these people shape our lives. If you want to admit it or not, it doesn't make a difference. Whether you listen to music, whether you watch music videos, whether you watch soap operas, whether you watch movies, whether you watch documentaries. People, if you think documentaries do not fall in the classification of culture creation, then again, please, I implore you to either prepare for waking up or go back to sleep, because whichever one is still your option. Documentaries are very much culture creators because they brand themselves as real life, nonfiction. But depending on how you angle a documentary, you can control the narrative by which you want your societies to live. Okay? And there's so many that we can look at, whether it's the global warming, climate change narrative that you want to overlay, or whether it's the sexualization of our societies and our children. Whichever you want to address, all of them are culture creation. So whether documentaries all the way through to sci-fi. Oh, and actually including news, because news has nothing to do with truth. It's just, again, a narrative whereby you are training your population, your societies, your civilized human sheeple to either fear, to be scared, like I was talking about in another video about how they fill us with fear, and there's no room for righteous indignation. There's just no room to feel like you're empowered, that you can do something, or that you're upset about what's happening to a certain group of people by another group of people. We're like kids on the playground, and we feel like we're completely powerless, because that's what culture creation is creating, either empowering, which is not something that it would be in their best interest, or disarming. And right now, at least in this time of the world stage, we are in the part where we're being disarmed. Now back to Candace, because I freaking just went off there. I'm sorry about that. But Candace was talking about what's unraveling in Hollywood as a whole, because I'm sure this is not particularly special and specific to Hollywood. This is in any of the culture creation machines, whether it's in India, whether it's in Russia, whether it's in Canada. It doesn't matter which country we're talking about. It doesn't really matter. Like, for all intents and purposes, we're basically a one world community. They have got us basically, with the exception of maybe a couple of tribal people somewhere deep in some sort of Congo, or in some deep village still that doesn't have access to Wi-Fi, which very, very, very small percentages of people, even people in Africa, have telephones now. And I mean, it's imperative that everybody gets one of these little devices where they can track and monitor everything that you do. But needless to say, all of a sudden, there's this great awakening, allegedly, that now what most people that were paying attention or that were trying to wake up and empower themselves with knowledge knew for decades, Like, let's not fool ourselves here. For decades, we've known that when you are in the movie industry, you are quite literally dancing with the devil, tail out and all. And people that have a lot of power didn't get there by good deeds. And that's just, I mean, it's a simple formula. And if you just follow the money, you will find debauchery and absolutely disassembling of the soul. It's systematic. It happens. I mean, find me a movie star that hasn't been initiated in the way that Diddy did it, and I will be truly, honestly surprised that they somehow got through, made their money, got contracts without sitting under the table and sucking some, well, let's say toes. Okay? Toes. Because it's just as disgusting. And I thought to myself yesterday, is it really that in your face that right now, all of a sudden, it's all being uncovered, it's all coming to light? For some reason, they're bringing this to light now, because for decades and decades, you're telling me in the 50s this wasn't a thing, that people had to be initiated by being completely broken through the act of being completely demoralized through sex? That is the best way to break a human being. Why do you think in war that is one of the most specific tortures that they do? They demoralize and dehumanize people by doing the R, doing the, the big R, and doing it to men and women. That is the most soul-breaking thing that someone can do to another person. And when you are in Hollywood, you need to keep your mouth shut. In order to do that, they have to have some icky on you. It's so common sense that I am just wondering why we're all of a sudden being consumed by it. What other things are happening in society that all of a sudden, they're quite frankly, more than the majority of people knew, that you had to do something unsavory to become a superstar, a supermodel, a super movie star, a super singer. You had to do something as a trade-off. There's no way that people just got in there on their good looks and on their really good acting skills. And if there were, well, then there are probably exceptions to every rule. But I would say I would use a very wide stroke brush and make big strokes when it comes to most movie stars. Like, I remember my children were in love with Justin Bieber when he came out. And my children are a little older than Justin, so they would have been a little bit older than him. But they loved him. And they were like so enamored. And I remember one time I sat down with them. We were just talking about, shenanigans, nothing, in Polish you say duperele, nothing and everything, like we talk here. And I said to them, I really feel bad for Justin Bieber, because if he did in fact come from a little, single mom household, struggling single mom household from Ontario, then he has no idea what he's getting himself into, and he's too young to be able to discern if this is a dangerous thing to go to or not. But his mother also is so ignorant about what's going to happen to her son. She basically sold her son, and he's not going to have a good life. Even though he's going to be wealthy, he's popular, he's maybe going to have a lot of people that know him in the context of like a human life, but he's going to have to pay for his fame. And I don't know if my children, really took me seriously. They think I'm a quack half the time because I have very thorny thoughts, and I think that they have a hard time with my thorny thoughts because they are very much wanting to fit in, and their mother kind of fit in because I could talk to everybody, but my opinions were very, very different than all the other parents. Needless to say, fast forward, well, I would say 16 years or so, and lots of things are happening to Justin, not Jason, sorry, Justin. Much like what happened with Katy Perry. She had a little bit of a weird spell. And Britney Spears, you remember Britney Spears when she fell apart? There is a lot of things coming out now that are just quite obvious that must have been happening. But the question is, why were they able to keep it secret? How were they able to keep it secret? Obviously because of their power, because they had complete control of the media. There was no media where we could come out and, like me, air my thoughts, air my opinions, air my observation, and give other people the ability or the right to maybe go, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Oh my God, another person thinks the same thing. Well, maybe there's something to it, and then you start digging. But when you're in the dark ages, per se, when you don't have any information, you don't have an option to sort of toy around with different ideas. And then when you're in the age of too much information, you don't know which information is real, which information is put in there to mess you up. You just don't know because there's just too much to choose from. Now, and then when you're in a controlled, and then there's another one where when you're completely controlled, and you no longer have a choice to be able to go look for information like right now, then you can't really see things as they potentially are, because there is no contrasting or other opinions to bounce, what truth makes more sense, because there is a weight to truth. When there is something that doesn't sit right, doesn't fit the narrative that's being sold to you, like right now, the fires that are happening, those things, something is very wrong. Also, what's happening in the Middle East, something is very, very, very wrong there. And we all need to start having, at the very least, thoughts about it, conversations about it, and not where you have a solid set opinion, but with an open mind and with an understanding that these are human lives, whether it's the fires or whether it is the massive extinction style happenings that are happening in the current situations there. So yeah, so now I'm looking at it and I'm wondering, is it a coincidence? Is it really a coincidence that his name is Diddy? Puff Diddy? Is it like a coincidence? Is it possible that he was always going to take a fall? That it's kind of like when you have Trump. Everything just seems so surreal, like we're watching literally a movie. Like we're watching a movie, and in the movie, the bad guy's name is Bad Guy. Think about it. Like, Trump. Is he the Trump card? And if he is the Trump card, for whose side? And do you think that it's your side? Because I always often ask people, do you think that Trump makes his own coffee, pours his own milk, does his own laundry? Do you think that he understands what it means to be a sheeple like you and me? Do you think that he has any effing clue as to what it means like to get up in the morning like me this morning, and I had to organize my day in such a way where not only can I come into town, but do I have everything I need to go into town? Do I have fuel? If I don't have fuel, do I need to fill up? Do you think that he worries about these things? And if you do, then I think that maybe he could be on the common sheeple person herd side. But if you think about it for a moment and you think, no, I don't think he does any of those things for himself. I think we probably do them for him. We're probably his serfs. We're probably, either his butler or his cleaner, or you pick. I'm sure that we do it for him. I mean, do you honestly think he built any of his buildings? I don't think so. I think that if he dressed up and went and with his little hands moved around and said, you're fired, and I'm not going to pay you, I think that's maybe more likely, but I don't think it's likely that he went and put on his construction boots and actually even so much as hammered a nail into his conglomerate buildings. But again, I digress. But all that is to sort of point out that we are taught that these people that have absolutely nothing in common with us, nothing. Like, the only thing that we have in common with them is that we breathe, that we need to eat, we need to shit, and that perhaps we need to die. Because, I'm still presuming that they die. At least they advertise it, that they do die. And to be honest, that is something that I realized yesterday when I was talking to my husband about this Candace Owen interview, and I thought to myself, how is it that people are shocked at this? Like, how is it that we as a society are sitting there and giving it more than 30 seconds when really we should be like, well, finally the truth is out, okay? We should not dilly-dally. We should go into Hollywood. Everybody should get fired. There shouldn't be a Hollywood. I mean, there's so many talented people that know how to make movies. There's no need for Hollywood anymore, quite frankly. There's just no need for it. And in fact, there's so many damn Hollywood stars that are now starting to do their own podcasts. And even if you look at that, someone like me will get nowhere, because I'm sure this is just, more or less just me yammering on for no reason, and there's nothing that's going to come out of it. And that's okay, because I really do feel like I'm getting better and better at being able to talk about what I think. And the one thing that I'm good at now, I'm not good at it, actually. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I meander, and then I come back to what my point was, when I could never, I used to fall off and go, oh, I don't remember what I was saying. Like, if I'm talking with someone, I'd be like, oh, I don't know why I went on that tangent, and now I don't remember what I was going to say. But I'm getting better as I'm realizing that I need to make sense of this. I'm starting to get better at that, which is really kind of good, because I feel like I'm practicing my brain. And as you get older, you realize you need to practice your brain, or you basically become an Alzheimer's patient, and I don't really want to do that. My friend that I go to visit, the amount of people that have Alzheimer's is just absolutely astonishingly scary. So I was talking to my husband last night, and we were saying, that, these stars are unnecessary. So if they sold their soul because they got tricked into it, they should come out and say it. And if they're still scared, then that means that this isn't really out in the open. And they're not really whistleblowing. If there isn't a mass amount of people whistleblowing and telling us what happened and how it happened, then we shouldn't give it any life. We just shouldn't give it any life, because right now we're being pulled away from very important things, like primarily what's happening in the Middle East. That is something that everybody should not lose sight of. What's happening in California, what happened in Maui, these are sheeple problems. These are problems that are going to affect us. Whether or not Justin Bieber's mother handed him over to a satanic cult, well, that is awful. But Justin Bieber needs to stand up and needs to call it out. She needs to do it. Everybody needs to call it out, and we all need to stop watching movies. But even when I was a little kid, and I remember when I stopped following the stars, I think in grade 7 or 8, and I was telling my husband this story. I don't know if anybody remembers, and I'm probably aging myself, but I remember when River Phoenix, it was a movie star, and he was a movie star for very, very short amount of time. I don't remember his brother's first name. He played in Caesar? Or no, The Gladiator. He was Caesar in The Gladiators. He was Caesar in The Gladiator. Something, Qua Phoenix. I don't remember what his name is. Anyways, he's like the ugliest brother, but he's actually he's a very good actor, actually. The way he acts, he always makes me believe in whatever he's doing. So, I mean, his role in Caesar was absolutely phenomenal. And these are actors. I mean, this is their art. This is what they're good at. And you have to give them credit where credit is due. Like Brad Pitt, he's maybe good to look at, but he's an awful, awful, awful actor. Just like, who else is an awful actor? His best friend. What is his name? Oh, I don't remember his name. Anyway, his best friend, I think they're best friend. Anyway, my mother came in and I was crying because not Keanu Reeves, I like him too, but just out of respect for his acting. I was crying because River Phoenix had died. He died of, the Hollywood disease. Sorry, I gotta flush my tooth. He died of the Hollywood disease, aka overdose. And I truly believe that with all of the things that have come out with Weinstein and with the other guy, Weinstein and Epstein and all the Steins, what really strikes me as interesting is that they're all under severe influences of addictions, whether it's sex addictions, whether it's drug addictions, whether it's alcohol addictions, whatever the addiction, you pick your addiction. And oftentimes their downfall oftentimes happens through those addictions. And he died of an overdose, and I remember I was bawling in my room, and my mummy came in and said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "Oh, River Phoenix died." And at that time, like in grade 7, I don't think I really understood like overdose. I don't think I understood that he died of drugs, or maybe I did, I don't remember. And my mom said, "That's really sad that he died, but why are you crying over him?" And I said, "Because I loved him. He was so sexy and hot." And my mom said, "Okay, so all these pictures are of this River Phoenix." And I'm like, "Yeah, see, wasn't he so good looking, Mom?" And my mom said, "Yeah, he was a cute boy, but you know that you're loving and revering and idolizing someone that's never even gonna know that you exist, that you're alive. You'll never, ever get any attention back from him, ever. He won't even know you're alive. And you're giving so much energy and time to someone that doesn't care, doesn't know, and will never care and will never know you. And I remember that being a moment that shifted how I looked at movie stars. And to be honest, ever since that moment, I can trace it back to that day where I realized, oh my God, why did I love this guy? Why did I have so many posters? Like in those days in the 80s, you had to buy the magazine, which was like $5, $6, and that was a lot. It was a lot of money. It's like $8, $10 now, or even more. I don't know what it is now in terms of inflation. And I spent my hard-earned money that I earned working anywhere from 6 to 8 hour shifts. And I was like, at this time I was, I think, 14, because I got the job actually like before I turned 15. Anyway, and I don't know if that was allowed or not, but anyway. And that really ticked me off. I thought to myself, my mom is totally right. That makes total sense. He'll never, ever know that I'm alive. He'll never cry for me if something happens to me. And I still felt bad because he died. But I never, ever, I took down all my posters, and I never, ever looked at movie stars the same way ever again. And I was in grade 7 or 8 or something like that. Anyway. So I feel that was my awakening. And I feel that people that are older even haven't yet woken up to that realization that they give their hard-earned money to sports that never give a shit about whether or not you scrape to make your bills, but all they care about is selling you their tickets, the seats, their paraphernalia. They don't care. And these people that we revere so much now, if people can, really now open their eyes and see now that, things are being evidently revealed, even if it's just on a micro level, because I am telling you, I truly believe that this is a cancer that is throughout all the entertainment areas, whether it's sports, whether it's documentaries, whether it's the news, whether it's Hollywood, Bollywood, you name it, it's a cancer in all of those areas. Think about it. We take our ideas from these people. We vote according to these people. How many J-Lo's and Beyonce's were telling you in America specifically to vote for Harris? They're swaying you because why? Because they know you follow and revere them. And now what's coming out is that, oh, these people are sick. They are internally rotted. And I challenge you to think in your life when there was a time where you followed the stars. Did you ever buy a perfume by J-Lo or Britney Spears, or I don't know how many of them have perfumes. I'm sure all of them do. Or did you ever buy a frying pan that was designed by Fergie, or a pair of shoes that was designed by Fergie, or Beyonce's line of lingerie? Or did you vote because you listened to J-Lo and her she was a good actress, I thought, until she had to speak on Kamala Harris's campaign, and then I thought, I don't know, it seems like there's like a gun underneath the table and she's like being coerced. Sorry, I think I just spat at you guys. And I want you to really be honest with yourself. When was the last time that you did something, not because some movie star was doing it, whether it's a haircut or whether it's the type of jewelry they wear, or whether it's the type of lip gloss, whether it's I don't know what they're doing in terms of how they're organizing their lives, what made them successful. How many of these movie stars, they've made millions and millions of dollars, and then they go on to give you some routine or process in which they got there. Of course, completely negating to mention that they had to be, doing all sorts of funky ass crap that was soul sucking, and once they did it, they were in all the way. It's like, when you jump in shit, you stink. It's hard to wash that stench off. And when you sell your soul, I mean, I can't imagine that it's easy to get that back. I mean, there's been so many movie stars that say I've sold my soul to the devil, and I don't think that's not truthful. I don't think that's like banter or I think they're being serious. So I kind of, when I was watching Candace and she was talking about the Bieber and she was talking about Kanye West and how Kanye is now being vilified, I don't really like to trust any of these people, but if Kanye was saying, because I didn't keep track of what happened, but if they are tearing him down, they're the ones that put him up. They put him up, and the same machine that put him up on top is the same machine that's tearing him down. And generally, when I see the tear down of any movie star, rock star, any kind of star, whether it's a politician and he's been caught, diddling young girls, whether it's Hunter, whether it's Epstein, either they're being put to the slaughter because they've done something bad, but they've been doing it all along. It's just now all of a sudden they're being put out for some reason or other. And there is always a reason. We do not maybe understand the whole reason, but all that to say, I don't know, I've probably done more than 40 minutes now, that you need to start thinking about absolutely boycotting and completely detoxing yourself from these culture creator movie stars. And you need to start really digging in deep and figuring out what it is that you got from them, sort of subliminally, without your permission. Because I think a lot of us get this without realizing that we're getting it. Like, you don't realize you're being indoctrinated until you realize that you're being indoctrinated. And until you realize it, it's completely natural. Like, you think it's totally natural to, what's a totally natural thing? Like, you think it's totally natural to say, oh, I'm sorry, when you bump into somebody in Canada, right? But that's not natural for everybody. That's just natural for the, very docile Canadians. But Americans would be like, hey, watch, even if it was their fault. Like, sorry, Americans, and I love you guys, because I think you guys are more straight shooters than Canadians, but, sometimes you go overboard too. You have yours and we have ours, right? Each culture has its natural way of thinking because they've been indoctrinated in their culture. And the culture creators are part and parcel of helping create the culture. So it's a circle jerk, and we're constantly in a rinse, wash, repeat, rinse, wash, or wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. And most of us just sit there drooling and we don't think about it. So I encourage anyone that has ever thought about the P. Diddy or any of the other Me Too movements to think about why now we're finding out about it, And why not, is it not open up, if we are finding out, truly finding out, like we're finding out, why are we not finding out about everything? Why isn't everybody coming out? Because things are still very controlled, and they're controlled for a reason, and they are going to be controlled until we all start thinking for ourselves and we all start loving each other equally, meaning we need to have righteous indignation for everything that's happening, not only for the children that have been given up to the sacrifice of becoming stars, and then again the cycle begins again, because then they do the same thing. Like apparently Usher was Bieber's guy that he was working under, and what it looks like, at least what Candace Owens made it look like, is that Usher was basically perpetuating what Diddy did to him, and so on, and it just spirals. So we need to boycott these people. We need to not give them, we need to cut them off from their ability to grow more mold in our society, because that's what they are. They're cancer, they're a mold, they're spores, and they're creating things that our society is building on, and we don't realize that we're building on sick, very sick infrastructure. So if you are, thinking that J-Lo is amazing, well, then you're following a sick person. And I'm sorry if that seems very offensive, but that's my opinion. Anyways, I'm in town. I was in town a little while ago. Of course, I can't stick to like the actual time that I had because I meander. But yeah, today is a really, really nice day in the sense that it's not too sunny, but the sun is trying to come out. And I'm going to get some stuff done. I'm going to go pay the legal mafia, because otherwise then they go after your knees. You can't possibly run a business without the legal mafia getting their cut. So we're going to go do that. Speaking of culture creators, I started this book. I don't know if you can see it. It's called We. It's actually written in the 1920s. And it's very interesting. And, and before I let you go, culture creation, speaking of culture creation, I forgot this really important point. Because I got meandering. This going from mainstream, allegedly controlled media to this sort of loosely put together by everybody social media structure of media is again seemingly not accidental. I read a book many years ago, probably about 10 years ago, and it was called The Ugly Series. And I think there's 3 or 4 books. I can't remember if there was 4 books or 3 books. Anyways, it's irrelevant. In the final book, I'll tell you what's really interesting. Social media becomes the only way to make money. And essentially, in short, because I don't want to ruin the whole plot. Spoiler alert, if you haven't read it, or if you want to read it anyway. I'm not giving everything away. But basically, in the end, the last book basically sets out a society that in its eventuality goes into, if you do not have a social media account, if you are not on social media, you are basically irrelevant, you're untouchable, you're homeless, you're worthless, and you can't survive. So I guess really if I'm gonna believe some of the documentaries I've read in my life, which this is one of them, I'm getting started now. And perhaps maybe I won't be homeless in 10 years. Maybe somebody will find these meanderings and I won't be too offended, and maybe we'll listen to the end, and maybe I can make an income. But if not, this will for now be my little brain meandering diary, shall we say. Anyways, it's a very good series. It's called The Uglies, and I don't remember who it's by. It was like 10 years I read it. I used to read these books because my daughters, I was putting them on a reading program, and I started reading these dystopian books. And I will tell you, we're in the middle of a cluster. I mean, like a cluster of some of the ones that I've read, and it's like one book pulling from each different book, a little bit from each different book. So anyways, I am gonna get going because I've got to get going. I've got to get some stuff done, and yeah, until next time, until I go out again, thank you so much for being here and letting me offload my brain diarrhea. Anyway, mwah. See you later.